Hey, my name is Ben Fletcher. I'm 29 and I run a small contracting crew out of Manchester. We're the sort of outfit that handles home repairs and renovations. Nothing flashy, just solid work for folks who need their kitchens redone or a leaky roof patched. I don't have a fancy office or a fleet of vans. It's me and a handful of lads hustling from one job to the next. I drive an old Ford Transit that has seen better days, but it's reliable. And I keep a duffel bag in the back stocked with spares. Clean flannel shirts, t-shirts, gloves, socks, even a spare pair of jeans. You never know when a job will leave you covered in mud, a button will pop off, or a sudden rain will hit. It's just practical. One evening, I had a blind date arranged at a place called the Wharf. It is this cozy spot in the city center with exposed brick walls and decent burgers. Nothing too upscale, which suited me fine. I wasn't big on blind dates. In fact, I wasn't big on dates at all lately. My life was a loop of bids, invoices, and early mornings, but my mate Mike wouldn't let it go. "You're going to end up marrying your drill mate," he would say, half joking, half serious. He was seeing this girl called Katie, and apparently her best friend, Jess Morgan, needed to get out too. Jess Morgan, 33, floor manager at Wilson's supermarket. That was all I knew. Mike described her as hardworking, the type who puts everyone else first and forgets about herself. I shrugged it off, figuring it would be one awkward dinner and done. I arrived at the Wharf a little early and grabbed a table by the window. The place was filling up, couples laughing, a few solo diners scrolling on their phones. I sipped my water and wondered if she would turn up. Blind dates flop half the time, don't they? No hard feelings. But soon enough, the door swung open, and in walked a woman who looked as if she had just sprinted from a battlefield. She was pretty in a natural way, dark hair pulled back messily, sharp eyes that scanned the room with a mix of determination and nerves. Her dress was a deep blue, simple and fitted, the kind that could turn heads on a good day. But this was not a good day. She clutched her purse tight against her side, as if hiding something. When her gaze landed on me, she must have matched whatever description Mike had given. She hesitated, her face flushing red, then walked over quickly, almost tripping in her hurry to sit down. "I'm so sorry," she blurted out as soon as she dropped into the chair. Her voice was soft but edged with panic. "I know I look awful. There was an incident at work, and I didn't have time to go home and change. I'm not usually like this, I swear." I leaned forward slightly, trying to catch her eye without staring. That was when I noticed it, a long tear along the side of her dress, starting at the hip and running down. She had tried to pin it together with safety pins, but it was makeshift at best, the fabric bunching awkwardly. It was not a small rip, it was the kind that screamed disaster. She shifted in her seat, pulling the purse closer to cover it, her cheeks burning even brighter. My first thought was not judgment or pity, it was respect. She had shown up anyway, in that state. Most people would have sent an excuse and vanished. "Hey," I said calmly. "It's okay. Really. What happened?" She exhaled shakily, glancing around as if she expected the whole place to be staring. Work had been chaos. She was the floor manager at Wilson's, and the day had been inventory mixed with a rush hour from hell. A kid had knocked over a display, glass everywhere. Then a customer had argued about a coupon and yanked at her dress, trying to get her attention. It had torn right there. She had pinned it in the break room, but she felt so stupid coming here like this. I did not laugh or make a joke to lighten it. That would have been cruel. Instead, I stood up. "Hold on one second," I said. She looked confused, probably thinking I was bailing, but I headed straight out to my van in the car park, grabbed the duffel from the back, and pulled out my cleanest flannel shirt. A navy one that smelled faintly of laundry detergent and sawdust. I was back inside in no time, sliding it across the table to her. "I always carry spares for jobs," I explained. "The bathroom is over there. Slip this on over your dress. It will cover the tear if you want." She stared at the shirt like it was some kind of lifeline she had not expected. Her eyes welled up a bit, but she blinked it back. "Why aren't you just leaving?" she asked quietly, almost like she was testing me. I met her gaze steadily. "Because you showed up in that dress after whatever hell you went through. You still came. That takes guts. Now go put on the shirt and let's order. I'm starving." She hesitated, then nodded, taking the flannel and heading to the bathroom. When she came back, the shirt hung loose on her frame, a couple of sizes too big, but it did the trick, covering the rip completely. She looked more relaxed, though her eyes were still a little red around the edges. "Thank you," she said as she sat down. "I don't know what I was thinking showing up like this. I almost cancelled." We ordered burgers for me and a salad wrap for her, and the conversation started slowly but soon picked up. She opened up about her job, the endless complaints, the long shifts, the way being a manager sounded important but really meant absorbing everyone's stress for barely above minimum wage. I shared about my world, picky clients who change their minds mid-job, late nights crunching numbers to make ends meet, the satisfaction of seeing a rundown house turn into something solid. We laughed about the absurd parts, the customer who had insisted on a purple bathtub, the old lady at her store who had tried to return expired milk from the year before. By the time the bill came, the awkwardness had gone. This was no longer a stiff blind date. It felt like talking to someone who got it, who understood the grind without needing explanations. As we walked out, she tried to hand back the flannel. "Here, your shirt." "Keep it," I said. "Gives me an excuse to see you again." She smiled then, a real one, not the forced kind. And for the first time that evening, I thought maybe this was not just a one-off. Maybe it was the start of something neither of us had seen coming. After that first night at the Wharf, things moved faster than I expected, but in the best way. Jess texted me soon after. Nothing flirty, just a simple thanks again for the shirt. It had saved the night. I replied with a joke about how it was my lucky flannel. Before long, we were setting up coffee at a little spot near the river, the kind with outdoor seating and decent lattes. She showed up in jeans and a sweater, her hair down this time, looking more relaxed than the evening before. The flannel was folded in her bag. She handed it back with a grin. "Washed and ready for your next emergency," she said. I laughed and tucked it away, but part of me was glad she had kept it overnight, like a small piece of me had stayed with her. That coffee turned into a walk along the Irwell. We talked about everything and nothing. Her growing up in a big family where she was always the responsible one, me admitting I had dropped out of college because I hated sitting in classrooms when I could be building things. She opened up about why she had not dated in a long while. Some lad had strung her along and made her feel like she was always second best. "I got tired of fixing other people's messes while ignoring my own," she said, kicking a pebble into the water. I nodded, sharing how my last relationship had fizzled because she could not handle my unpredictable hours. "Work is my constant," I told her. "Everything else feels temporary." By the end of the walk, we had already planned to grab tacos midweek. It was not forced. It just felt right. And that was how it went over the coming weeks. Dates that did not feel like dates. One evening, we tried mini-golf at a rundown course on the edge of town. Jess was terrible at it, swearing under her breath every time the ball bounced off a fake windmill. "You're cheating," she accused when I sank a hole-in-one. "How? It's mini-golf," I shot back, and we both cracked up until our sides hurt. She won the rematch by distracting me with a story about a customer at work who had tried to pay with Monopoly money. The flannel became our inside joke. Soon after, she sent me a photo of her wearing it while taking out the rubbish, captioned, "Rescue shirt strikes again. Saved me from the cold." I stared at that picture longer than I should have, noticing how it dwarfed her frame but made her look cozy, real. I replied with a selfie from a job site covered in sawdust. "Jealous. My shirts never looked that good on me." It was light, but underneath I could feel something building, a comfort I had not had with anyone in years. What drew me to Jess was not just the laughs or the easy conversations, it was how she made me want to show up. She hated asking for help, but she appreciated it in quiet ways. Like when I swung by Wilson's during her shift with a sandwich because she had mentioned skipping lunch. She rolled her eyes at first. "You didn't have to," but then she smiled, that real smile, the one that lit up her whole face. In return, she would text me reminders, "Eat something real today, not just drive through." Or she would organize my glove compartment when we were in my van, laughing at the chaos of receipts and tools. "How do you function like this?" she would tease. "Barely," I would admit. And we would end up talking about bigger things, dreams we had shelved, fears we had buried. One evening, parked by the river again, after a long day for both of us, the talk turned deeper. The sun was dipping low, turning the water orange, and Jess stared out the window before saying, "I have been alone for a long while. I thought I was fine with it, better even, but really I was just scared." Her voice was soft, vulnerable in a way that hit me hard. I did not rush in with advice. "I get that," I said. "I'm scared too, in my own way. Scared of letting someone in and losing my rhythm. Work is all I know." She turned to me then. "So, why did you agree to the blind date?" "Mike wouldn't shut up," I chuckled. "And I guess I'm tired of just surviving. I want more than jobs and empty evenings." She nodded, her hand brushing mine on the gear shift. "I'm glad you didn't walk out that night." "Me too," I said, meaning it. "I'm glad you showed up." From there, things shifted into something more intentional. We were not slapping labels on it, but we started factoring each other in. She would call after a rough shift, venting about a rude customer, and I would listen without trying to fix it. I would share frustrations from a botched job, and she would offer practical tips, like color-coding my invoices, which actually helped. One evening, I helped her fix a leaky faucet at her flat. She cooked pasta afterwards, and we ate on her tiny balcony, watching the city lights flicker on. I started realizing I was falling for her, not in a dramatic way, but steadily. Jess was not the type who needed saving. She was the type who powered through, and that strength pulled me in. But even as things felt good, I noticed small cracks. Her texts got shorter some days, her laughs a bit forced. I put it down to work stress at first. "Wilson's was always busy," she said, but then the replies thinned out completely. One-word answers, missed calls. "Busy," she would say when I asked if she was okay. I did not push, figuring she would open up when ready. Looking back, I should have seen the signs earlier. The silence was not just fatigue. It was the start of everything unraveling for her. Her texts came slower, her responses clipped. A full day passed without a word, then another. That nagging worry crept in. Not jealousy, I was not that sort, just concern, the kind that hits when someone you care about goes quiet without warning. By the third day, I called her during lunch. It rang out to voicemail. I left a message. "Hey, just checking in. Hope everything is okay." No call back. That evening I tried again, straight to voicemail. My mind raced through worst-case scenarios, family emergency, second thoughts about us. I paced my flat, staring at my phone like it held answers. Finally, I decided I could not sit on it. One afternoon, I swung by Wilson's supermarket on my way back from a job site. I grabbed 2 coffees from a drive-thru as a casual excuse, just passing by. The car park was fuller than usual, cars crammed in like it was a holiday rush. But as I walked toward the entrance, something felt off. Bright yellow signs plastered the windows. Store closing sale. Everything must go. Inside it was chaos in slow motion, shelves half empty, price tags slashed in red marker, carts overflowing with discounted cans and boxes. Shoppers buzzed around like vultures at a clearance event. But the employees moved like zombies, faces drawn, eyes avoiding contact. My stomach dropped. This was not a remodel or a seasonal thing. This was the end. Wilson's was shutting down for good. I scanned the aisles, heart pounding, until I spotted Jess in the home goods section. She was wielding a pricing gun, slapping discount labels on stacks of towels with mechanical precision. Her hair was tied back haphazardly, dark circles under her eyes, like she had barely slept. She looked smaller somehow, weighed down. When she saw me approaching, her face paled. She turned away quickly, focusing on the next item as if I was not there. "Jess," I said softly, setting the coffees on a nearby shelf. "When were you going to tell me?" She did not look up, her hands trembling slightly on the gun. "I can handle it," she muttered. "It's my mess." "This is not about handling it alone," I replied, keeping my voice low to avoid drawing attention from the other workers. "This is about you shutting me out. What is going on?" She finally met my eyes, and I saw the exhaustion there, raw and unfiltered. "The parent company filed for bankruptcy. We are closing in a couple of weeks. Everyone is out of a job." Her words came out flat, like she had rehearsed them to sound okay, but her lip quivered just a bit. I glanced around at the emptying shelves, the 50% off signs everywhere. "I'm sorry, that sucks, but why hide it from me?" "Because I don't want to drag you into this," she lowered her voice, glancing over her shoulder. We have only known each other a short while. I don't need you feeling sorry for me. I stepped closer, careful not to crowd her. It is not pity. I care about you. Let me be there. She shook her head, clicking the pricing gun harder than necessary. You don't get it, Ben. I can't even pay next month's rent without this paycheck. My mum is on a fixed income. She relies on me for extras like her meds. If I lean on you now, I will feel pathetic, like I can't stand on my own. That word hit like a punch. You are not pathetic, I said firmly. You are dealing with a curveball that would knock anyone down, but pushing me away, that just makes it harder for both of us. Her eyes flashed with frustration, mixed with something like fear. What do you want me to do? Cry on your shoulder? Ask for handouts? I am not that person. I took a breath, trying to stay calm. This was not about winning an argument. It was about breaking through her walls. No handouts, but I do have something real. My office is a disaster, schedules all over the place, invoices piling up, calls I miss because I am on site. I need someone organized, someone who can manage the chaos. You. The pay is decent, better than minimum. It is not charity, it is a job you could crush. She froze, the pricing gun hovering mid-air. No, I can't. That feels like owing you. You would not owe me anything, I insisted. It is business. You help me run things smoother. I pay you what you are worth. Simple as that. Jess's shoulders slumped, and for a moment I thought she might agree. But then she shook her head again, more vehemently. I appreciate it, really, but I need to figure this out myself. If I say yes, it will change everything between us. I will always wonder if you are just being nice. I felt a surge of frustration, not at her, but at the situation. Nice? Jess, this is not about being nice. It is about seeing you struggle and wanting to help because you are important to me. Don't make me watch from the sidelines. She turned back to the towels, clicking labels in rapid succession. Please, Ben, just go. I can't do this right now. I stood there for a beat, the noise of the store fading around us, carts rattling, announcements blaring about final sales. I wanted to argue more, to make her see I was not going anywhere. But I knew pushing harder would only drive her further away. So I nodded, picked up one coffee, and left the other on the shelf. Okay, but I'm not disappearing. Call me when you are ready. As I walked out, the weight in my chest grew. The store's closing signs mocked me from every angle. Jess was slipping away, not because she did not care, but because her pride was all she had left, and I was terrified she would choose isolation over letting me in. For the next few days, the silence stretched on. No texts, no calls. I threw myself into work, but every quiet moment my mind wandered back to her. I did not give up, though, not yet. Those days after our talk at Wilson's felt like an eternity. Jess's silence continued. No texts, no calls, nothing. I would check my phone between jobs, hoping for a sign, but the screen stayed blank. I threw myself into work harder than usual, pounding nails and mixing concrete like it could drown out the worry. But at night, lying in bed, I would replay our conversation, her stubborn refusal, that flash of fear in her eyes. I was not angry, I was scared for her. Pride is a hell of a thing. It keeps you standing, but it can also keep you isolated. By the end of that stretch, I could not take it any longer. One overcast morning, I grabbed my keys and drove to her apartment block on the east side of the city. It was a modest place, faded brick buildings, kids playing in the car park, laundry flapping on balconies. I had dropped her off there once after a late dinner, so I knew the unit. As I approached her door, my gut twisted. A bright pink eviction notice was taped right in the middle, the kind with bold letters screaming about overdue rent and deadlines. It hit me like a brick. Things were worse than she had let on. I knocked, soft at first, then firmer. No answer. I waited, heart thumping, and knocked again. Finally, the door creaked open a few inches. Jess stood there looking like a shadow of herself, oversized t-shirt and sweatpants, hair in a messy knot, eyes puffy and red-rimmed. She blinked at me, surprise mixing with defeat. For a second I thought she would slam the door, but she did not. She just stepped back, letting me in without a word. The flat was dim, blinds half-drawn, dishes piled in the sink, a stack of bills scattered on the coffee table. It smelled like stale coffee and neglect. Jess closed the door behind me, leaning against it like she needed the support. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I had to check on you," I said, keeping my tone even. "You have been ghosting me, and now this." I nodded toward the door where the notice was still visible. She crossed her arms, hugging herself. "I told you I could handle it." I took a step closer, not too close. "This does not look like handling it. Talk to me, Jess, please." That was when the dam broke. Her face crumpled and she slid down the door to the floor, knees to her chest, sobs shaking her whole body. Not pretty cries, the raw, ugly kind that come from holding everything in too long. I knelt beside her, pulling her into my arms without thinking. She resisted for a split second, then collapsed against me, her hands clutching my shirt. "I am a failure, Ben," she choked out between gasps. "The store closed early. My last shift was yesterday. I can't find another job fast enough. Rent is due and I can't pay it. My mum's meds, she needs them, and I am the one who helps. I don't know what to do. I feel so lost." I held her tighter, rubbing her back in slow circles, letting her get it all out. Her tears soaked my shoulder, but I did not care. "You are not a failure," I murmured. "You are human. This is not on you. It is a crap situation, but you do not have to face it alone." She pulled back slightly, wiping her face with her sleeve, eyes bloodshot. "I don't want to be your burden. You have already done enough with the shirt, the dates. I can't keep taking." "You are not taking," I said firmly, lifting her chin so she would look at me. "And you are not a burden. Remember that first night? You showed up with a torn dress pinned together, embarrassed as hell. You could have cancelled, but you did not. That took real strength. Don't quit now when things are at their worst." She sniffled, shaking her head. "This is different. This is my life falling apart. If I let you help, I will hate myself for it." I paused, choosing my words carefully. "Then let's make it fair. That job offer, it is still there. Temporary if that is what you want. Manage my schedules, handle calls, organize the bids. You are good at it. I have seen how you run things at the store. Pay is steady, no strings. You earn it, no debt." Jess stared at me, doubt flickering. "Why? Why keep pushing this?" "Because I see what you are capable of," I said. "And because I am falling for you, Jess, hard. I don't want to watch you struggle when I can be part of the solution. Not as a hero, as a partner." She went quiet, processing. Tears streamed down again, but slower. Finally, she nodded, barely perceptible. "Okay, temporary, but we set rules. I work, I get paid, no favors." "Deal," I said, relief flooding me. "And about the rent?" "No," she cut in. "I will figure that out. I'm moving back in with my mum for a bit. It will cut costs and I can help her more. But if you could help with the moving, just the heavy stuff." I smiled, the first real one in days. "I would love to. Van is ready whenever." She leaned her head against my shoulder, exhausted but calmer. "I am sorry for disappearing. I was ashamed. Didn't want you to see this side of me." I kissed the top of her head. "Just don't do it again. We are in this together now." We sat like that for a while on her floor amid the mess until her breathing steadied. Eventually she stood, wiping her face. "I start straight away." As I left, promising to check in later, I felt a shift. This was not just dating anymore. It was something deeper. Jess was letting me in, and I was determined not to let her down. Jess started at my office straight away, and right from the jump, she dived in like she had been waiting for a challenge. My office was really just a converted garage behind my house, stacks of papers on every surface, a whiteboard covered in half-erased scribbles, and a filing cabinet that had not been organized since I started the business years ago. She took one look at the mess and shook her head. "You have not gone bankrupt yet? That is a miracle," she said, half teasing, half serious. I laughed it off. "I am always on site, no time for this stuff." But Jess, she had the time and the skill. Before long, she had digitized half my invoices, set up a simple spreadsheet system for tracking bids, and even color-coded my schedule so I would not double-book jobs. "This is not rocket science," she would say when I complimented her. "It is just what I did at the store, managing chaos." Except now, it was not thankless. I saw the difference immediately. Calls got returned faster. Clients felt more confident with the professional quotes she formatted. And my crew stopped complaining about last-minute changes because everything was planned out. It was not long before she was not just helping, she was essential. Soon we landed a kitchen remodel that I had botched the bid on before. Jess caught the errors in my numbers and reworked it into something tight and appealing. The client signed on the spot. "You are saving my ass here," I told her over takeout that night. She shrugged, but her eyes lit up. "I'm just doing what I'm good at. Feels nice to be valued for it." As time went on, our dynamic shifted from boss and employee to something like partners. We would brainstorm over coffee in the mornings, how to bid on bigger projects, where to find reliable subs, even ideas for expanding into small commercial work. Jess's input was gold. She spotted risks I missed, like overcommitting on materials, and pushed me to negotiate better rates with suppliers. "At Wilson's, I dealt with vendors all the time," she would explain. "Same principles." And damn if it did not work. Revenue ticked up. We were able to hire an extra hand and upgrade some tools. The turning point came with a big residential development job. A developer needed crews for a row of townhouses. I had eyed it before, but backed off. The paperwork was a nightmare. Jess did not flinch. She spent evenings building the proposal, detailed timelines, cost breakdowns, even mock-ups of our past work. "We can do this," she said, handing me the folder. We submitted it, and 2 weeks later, the call came. We won the contract, my biggest yet. I let out a cheer and scooped her up in a hug, spinning her around the office until she laughed and swatted my arm. "Put me down, you idiot." But when I did, her face turned serious, tears welling up. "This means I am not just dead weight," she whispered. I pulled her close. "You were never dead weight. You are the reason we are here." From there, it felt natural to make it official. One evening, after wrapping up a long day, I sat her down. "I want you as a partner," I said. "Equal stake and shares in the business. This is not a gift. It is what you have earned." She stared at me, stunned. "Ben, that is your company." "Ours," I corrected. "We have built this together." She hesitated, then nodded, wiping her eyes. "Okay, but I am earning it. I will take classes, project management, whatever it takes." True to her word, she enrolled in online courses, studying late while I handled dinner. Watching her, hair tied back, focused on her laptop, I realized how far she had come from that eviction notice day. Sometime later, I knew it was time. I sent her a cryptic message. "Dress nicely, meet me at this address." She peppered me with questions, but I kept quiet. When she arrived at the Wharf, stepping into the same spot by the window, her eyes widened in recognition. The server grinned, remembering us from that first night. Jess sat eyeing me suspiciously. "What is this about? You look nervous." I took her hand across the table, feeling the calluses she had earned from helping on lighter jobs, filing edges, organizing tools. "I brought you back here because this is where it started," I said. "You walked in with that torn dress pinned together, looking like you wanted to bolt. You apologized like your imperfect self was a crime. But what I saw was not a mess. I saw courage. The kind that shows up when everything is falling apart." Her eyes softened, misting over. I was so embarrassed. "And I was hooked," I continued. "You have taught me that real strength is not about never breaking. It is about showing up anyway, through the store closing, the silence, the rebuild. You fought every step, and I have fallen deeper because of it." I stood, then knelt on one knee, pulling out the ring, a simple band with a small diamond, nothing flashy, just like us. The restaurant hushed around us. "Jess Morgan, will you marry me? Let me spend the rest of my life showing up for you like you did that night." She gasped, tears streaming. "Yes! Oh God, yes!" The room erupted in applause as I slipped the ring on her finger. She pulled me up into a hug, sobbing into my shoulder. When we sat again, I pushed a small box toward her. One more thing. Inside was the navy flannel, washed and folded neatly, and beside it, a new deep blue dress, same shade as the torn one, but flawless, tailored just for her. A note tucked in, "For our wedding day." "But I loved you from the ripped version." She clutched them to her chest, laughing through tears. "You kept it all this time." "Could not let it go," I said. "It is us, patched together, but stronger. From a disastrous blind date to this, a partnership in business and life, a home we built from the ground up. Jess turned my chaos into order, and I gave her a foundation to stand on. We were not perfect, but we were real. And in the end, that is what made our story ours. In the end, what this tale truly reveals is that the most beautiful strength in life isn't found in flawless appearances or perfectly ordered days. It's in the quiet courage to show up exactly as you are, torn edges and all, and to let someone see the real you without bolting away. When Ben first met Jess that rainy Manchester evening, she walked into the Wharf with her dress ripped and pinned together in a panic, yet she still came. Most of us would have hidden, made excuses, let pride slam the door shut. But she didn't, and neither did he. Instead of judgment, he offered his old navy flannel, a simple act that said, "I see you, and you're enough." That single moment cracked open everything. The job loss that left her world in pieces, the eviction notice that made her feel like a failure, the stubborn silence born of fear that she'd become a burden. Yet through it all, their story shows us that real love and real partnership aren't about saving someone. They're about standing shoulder to shoulder, turning chaos into order, and choosing each other even when life feels like it's falling apart. Jess taught Ben that vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the foundation of something unbreakable. And Ben showed her that accepting help doesn't diminish you. It lets you rise stronger, together. It's a reminder we all need. Stop waiting to be perfect before you let people in. Show up messy, stay honest, and watch how those patched-together moments become the most precious parts of your life. If this story stirred something in your heart, tell me in the comments. What's the one time you showed up anyway, even when everything felt torn? And if you're craving more honest, heartfelt stories like this from right here in the UK, do hit subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the next one. Your support means the world. Thank you for being here.